Hi, this is Nancy McKay. Thank you for joining me for another episode. Today I have Ron Ben Joseph, who is a dear friend and an incredible director and producer of podcasts. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you for having me, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here. You look great.
Well, so do you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I wore a button down today, so I feel very fancy.
I appreciate that.
Nancy, so you and I kind of thank you. Oh, that's so sweet that you appreciate. Thank you. Um, so Nancy, you and I we've had really good conversations about the idea of misfortune.
We
Um,
have.
and I wanted to come on and kind of talk to you about your perception of it and how you work with clients to kind of shift their mindset around misfortune. Um,
Okay.
because I gotta just throw this up front. Misfortune, my interpretation of misfortune has been challenged over the years. I'm from Chicago originally, where misfortune is just it's just called it's just called fall, winter, and spring. That's just what you get.
It's called life.
It's called life. It's unfortunate in Chicago. You have to live with that weather, and no offense to anyone who's from Chicago who's watching it. I love Chicago. It's a great place,
Yeah.
but um, over the years, I've learned to shift that mindset around misfortune, and kind of now I got a divorce officially last year, and I look at it as a gift, and I'm really cool with my co-parent, and our kid is thriving. Um, I look at all these bad things that happen, around us, and I change the mindset of it's not happening to me, it's happening for me, right?
Yeah.
First of all, how do you, as a coach, like how have you seen people fall prey to the idea of misfortune? Oh, woe's me. Oh, I'm unlucky. I can't believe this happened to me. Have you seen that a lot with people before you
Oh,
start working with them?
sure. And it's called the human condition, I think. So, I think it's probably more common than not to um, feel like life is happening to us instead of for us. And, I think there's probably, a smaller percentage of people who just have kind of a positive attitude going in. They kind of came out of the chute that way. And and I think I'm kind of one of them, but I've definitely had because I'm sensitive, I take things to heart and I take things personally. So sometimes I fall into that um, kind of, the world is out to, well, maybe not get me, but, throw me a loop or two, right? So one of the things that I've learned so much in my coach training and as a coach that that circumstances are neutral, and it's how we look at our circumstances, how we think about the circumstances that really cause our pain. There's as Martha Beck, my teacher, says, there's clean pain and there's dirty pain. And clean pain is like when you hit your thumb with the hammer, you know, that's that's clean pain. You know, but when you hit your thumb with the hammer and you tell yourself that you're a clumsy, stupid idiot, that's dirty pain. Now the thumb doesn't hurt anymore, but the mental gymnastics are going strong about, how clumsy I am and, whatnot. And you can keep that rolling for God knows how long. And so that's dirty pain. And what we want to do is it's never going to be we're never going to be able to eliminate dirty pain, but to minimize it. I don't think we can eliminate it. Um,
But I like where you're going with this, because I think it's that fine blend of, we think on some level we think that there's nobility in blaming yourself, shaming yourself, right? There's like, I'm taking like, it's not accountability necessarily
it's
in the
taking
convent.
accountability to the nth degree. Yeah, it's like beating ourselves up with the accountability bat, right?
100%. I always bring up. I remember when I was in high school, and this is the early '90s. So I had a bunch of learning disabilities, but in the early '90s, we called it being lazy. Um, and I remember, or at least that's what my
Oh,
parents did. My
yeah.
parents called it being lazy. But I remember coming home, and I kind of had written off school by this. I was a sophomore, I remember, and I just assumed, oh, I'm dumb. This is like I'm not good at this. All my friends are way better students. I'm just gonna coast through. And I remember coming home one day having like an F in my backpack. Like a test came back and it was an F.
Uh-huh.
And I remember like turning it on, being like, okay, I don't want to get yelled at, so I'm gonna pretend that I'm really upset about this. And I remember this cognitive choice where I go, I'm gonna show my mom that I care so much that I'm depressed about it that she will feel bad for me and then she won't yell at me, right? And
Yeah.
so I walk in. I just remember she was in the kitchen and I came in through the garage and I was like, oh, it's not a good day, you know. And she's like, what's wrong? And I like acted the heck out of it, you know. Should have gotten an Oscar in that moment. But that's when I made the adjustment. I made the decision. I'm gonna always pretend that I care so much about my own mess up, right? And I'm gonna take it
Yeah.
into my heart that eventually that turned into thinking I'm a loser, and finding
Yep.
ways in life to support that. Do you see that a lot with people that you work with? Again, before you work with them, do you see that people take accountability to the nth degree as a way of protecting themselves, but also it goes south, right? They take it in too much.
Well, that's the problem is it goes south and it can go south quick. Um, so yeah, I do see that. I see that a lot. And so, that's what I work with my clients on most and first is looking at the circumstance as a neutral thing and how they can change their thoughts about it because then their thoughts will create a different feeling, a different emotion, a different physical feeling so that they can change the thought. They can see where that thought is taking them and then they can change it even just slightly because you can't go from, I'm a loser to I'm the best person on the face of the planet. You can't do that. You don't believe it, right? So you have to change the thought to something that you can believe just as much as I'm a loser or a little bit more. So, maybe I'm not a loser today. Maybe I won't be a loser tomorrow. Just something ever so slightly so that you can buy into it, you can believe it. And then every time, every day, you up that, by a little bit of, 1%. You level up. And that's what builds new beliefs and new thoughts. And then you don't find yourself beating yourself up with the intensity and the frequency as much. And it happened to me yesterday. I was walking down the hall, I did something, I went, "Jeez, here we go." And I caught myself. It's like you catch yourself and you immediately go, "Okay, what could I think differently?" So that I don't torpedo the whole day. Because that's what will happen. If you think a thought and you really buy into it, whether, if it's a bad thought, you can ruin your whole day in a nanosecond. But if you catch yourself and you change it, or if you think a good thought right from the get-go, then that can lift your day. And it really is amazing that our minds are incredible.
It's such a powerful example you bring up. I'm thinking back, like, I remember right when I started learning about laws of attraction and abundance mindset and positive thinking, just positive thinking, which was a whole new. Again, coming from Chicago, I always say like, what was I going to manifest? A sunny day?
Yeah,
Not gonna happen,
right,
you know.
right.
Um, and the family I grew up with, there was like nobility in calling yourself out on your flaws. And my dad always said, and it's I'm not blaming him. Like I get where he's coming from. He always used to say, he's like, what I respect about you is that you're able to look in the mirror and call yourself out on your own flaws, And I was like, so I made a career of it, I made a life of it. And
Yeah, self-deprecating humor, right?
self-deprecating humor was a huge part of it. And I recently went through some coaching and figured out where that came from, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore, and
Right.
like I have to find my voice again as a performer. But the I remember there was this, like, it all kind of catapulted where I was experiencing positive thinking, and I was like, it was a few months into it. I was like really working on it, and things, I started manifesting things, and things started happening, and I had a job interview for an ideal job at the time, and this was after a really tough financial year. Here I am. I'm interviewing, and we're hitting it off. Me and the recruiter, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna send you this test. You gotta, just answer some questions, and then we'll take it from there. But you're great right now. I want you to get this." I get the test Thursday morning. I fill it out like 5 a.m. I woke up early, and I'm filling it out, and I answered the question that I thought there was, like, an option for 3 questions, and I answered the one, and I put my heart into it, and I don't hear back from her until Sunday. Sunday she emails me. She's like, "Okay, that's great. Thank you for sending me that. But you missed two of the other questions." And and I read the thing over and over and over again, like so many times. But I was probably so excited that I looked past.
Yeah.
And oh my God, when I got that email, I went back to square one in my head, and
Yeah.
the nastiness. You idiot! You're so stupid. Like, I mean, I was like, and at that point, I remember being like, "What? Who are you? Like, who is this voice?" You
Right.
know, I was shocked. So, that's like it kind of similar to what you're saying, where it's like it's so easy when you drop some, "Oh, idiot," and it's like, do you need to say that? Like, is it true that you're an idiot because you bumped into something? Where do we
No.
get this? Like, who taught us that that's what we need to do?
Right. I, I don't know. And, people are blaming their parents and will until the end of time, I'm sure, for the things that they do. But, the bottom line is that I think, well, I don't know if it's the bottom line, but I think one of the things for me is I want to beat myself up before somebody else does. Right. So if I can beat myself up worse, then I don't feel attacked by you. I don't have to wait until you tell me I'm an idiot. I've already told myself that I'm an idiot, I'm a loser, every derogatory name in the book, right? And frequently I'll do it with a chuckle so it makes you laugh, right? So it makes it sound like I don't really mean it, even though I know I do. Um, Self-deprecating humor is uh, really powerful and damaging, really damaging.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I went on a, so I was over, like, I was an overweight kid, and wanted to be the funny kid,
Mhm.
and so that was, that kind of helped me get into stand up and comedy and all this stuff, and but I remember over, like, in my 20s, going on dates and being like I went on a date, and I was like, first thing I did was I got in there and I made a joke about how I just had gained weight, and then I apologized to the
Uh-huh.
girl who like, went on a date with, and it was just like so embarrassing, but it's like I was so in that mindset. I carried so much of that with me
Yeah.
that when I, like, when everything was my fault, to make fun of myself. My dad said this to me as a kid: make fun of yourself before they
Yeah.
make fun of you. Which, like, I get it. I get where,
Yeah.
again, no, like, that's what we're taught. Then, so then when you look at fortune, period, it's like, well, that fortune is what other people have.
Yeah.
I'm going to commit to misfortune because it's safer. It's what I'm familiar with. It's what I know.
Easier.
It's easier because then it allows me to go into that habit, right? But
Right.
but according to what you're saying, it's almost like, can you define misfortune for me, like, period, like define it as a general definition.
I'd be happy to.
Thank
Let
you.
me put on my glasses so I can read the damn thing. Misfortune, a distressing or unfortunate incident or event, also known as adversity.
See, adversity makes sense to me. Unfortunate, like, It does sound like it's baked in. Like there's a perception baked into that and to that definition, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's distressing. And so the question is, are we going to, how long are we going to live there? You know, so something happens and it might be distressing. It might be unfortunate, right? It might be adverse. And we get to choose how long we're going to be negatively impacted by it. And I think that there's probably a lot of people who will say, well, that's easy for you to say because, you know, you're sitting in a nice room in a nice house and whatever, right? And
You've been through some stuff, though. Let's be
but
fair.
yeah, I have been through some stuff, and my stuff isn't nearly as bad as some other people's stuff, and it's a lot worse than some. So everybody has their opportunity to deal with adversity, you know um, and there's different levels of adversity, but you can always look at things differently so that you don't have to suffer needlessly. You know, um, that's not to say that there aren't things that are worth um, suffering over. But at the same time, we have to understand the power that our minds have, and that if we allow ourselves to live there, that's a choice. We make a choice to succumb, I guess would be maybe a good word for that.
Well, you bring up such a good point because there's hues, there's a spectrum here. Like I've had
Yeah.
two friends recently that their husbands had cancer scares, right? And they're both in their 50s. Like it's scary, right?
Hmm.
That's like whoa, like that.
Yeah.
Like I know you've had that, like you've had bouts, like I get it. That, but again, I think it like when it's something like, oh, I'm I what like and not something trivial like, oh, I ran out of milk, but like there are like there's a perspective, right, where we go, how is this trying to help me right now? What is this trying to teach me right now? What's the
Right.
lesson here?
Right.
Right? We can do that for most things, right?
Absolutely.
How do you
Absolutely.
how do you advise people to look at the opportunity versus the devastation?
Well, for me, and here's where that um positive thinking thread that I came out of the chute with came into play. So when I was diagnosed with cancer on my 58th birthday 6 years ago, I I never said or even thought, why me? The odds were not in my favor not to get cancer. Um, I got ovarian cancer, so I'm a woman. I was a woman over 50, overweight. Um, I had, I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I had the alcohol card, and um, I probably had a few other cards going against me too. And I thought I was just having typical menopausal symptoms. I didn't have any clue that what I was experiencing was, um, you know, a symptom of ovarian cancer. And so, and I will take this moment as an educational moment, ladies. There is no test you can take for ovarian cancer. A pap smear does not test for ovarian cancer. There is no test. So you have to know the symptoms: lower back pain, you pee frequently, you feel full quickly, and um, bloating. You feel bloated. So those are signs of ovarian cancer. If they last for more than 2 weeks, go see your doctor. Okay, education part over. Um, but but I never felt like, why me, right? So I had that thread, that positive thinking thread running through me. Now, that's not to say that before I woke up from surgery and was told I had cancer, I hadn't sort of already laid out my funeral. So I had that. There was that piece that said, okay, well, if it goes south, I want to be prepared, you know, but I never felt like a victim. And so, you know, what that does is it prepped me. So this is way before coach training, right? I didn't have a clue about coach training. What that turned into, though, was a gift for me. And I look at it as a gift because it changed my perspective on life. And if I hadn't gotten cancer, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, which is helping women deal with misfortune. Right? So that's because it, you know, even though my cancer wasn't terminal, and touch wood, I haven't had any recurrence or anything, that doesn't mean that it wasn't life altering. And it was.
Because you saw it as an opportunity to re-examine your life
Yeah,
and go, okay,
absolutely.
what are my priorities?
Yeah. I mean, even if it's a cancer scare, you get hit upside the head with the mortality 2x4, you know, and if it doesn't wake you up to what you want out of life, how you're living your life, that sort of thing, then you're missing a really good opportunity, number one. And number two, you're probably coping with that news in an unhealthy way. You know, you start drinking more because what the hell? Why not? Um, you know, you start eating more, you you know, whatever, you throw caution to the wind, and you know, whatever. So
I'm going to say something crazy then, which, so even that, now I'm thinking about it, like you can go, even that's a gift, right? Like
yeah,
let's say that's what you want to do in life anyway, and you're like, the hell with my diet, the hell with healthy eating and drinking, then, and again, I don't mean to be insensitive, but like that to me is also like, I'm looking at that and I go, well, then you have an opportunity to do what you wanted to do in the first place, which is to just chuck it all and
exactly.
just live
Yeah.
like without accountability.
And the important thing to know is that it's a choice. It's a choice. I can choose to either look at this as a gift or as an excuse to say, fuck it.
And if you say fuck it, then it's an excuse to do what you wanted to do anyway, right?
Exactly.
If like I genuinely I know people that really do love to live, you know, just like reckless and just like party and all that stuff. You know, at various ages, great. Like that's an opportunity to do what you want to do. So look at it as a gift. Great. I know when an ending is, right?
Yeah.
Or you say, you know what? This is an opportunity to fight. This is an opportunity to try to do better, to really do all the things that, or to have to act out on my bucket list, right?
Right.
It's all opportunity.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And of course, like again, I can imagine there's exceptions to the rule. I want to be sensitive, but like for the majority of us, it's an opportunity. What are some of the success? This is my last question for you. What are some of the successes that you've seen with your clients when they started, like you said? I loved how you said it. Just starting to just make, okay, I'm not a loser today. Like starting to make just those minor shifts, and then they built. Like, how did they build?
Well, you know, one of the things one of my clients said to me just the other day was, you know, I came to work with you because I was drinking too much. And now, I still haven't made a decision on how I want to play that out. I'm still drinking, but I'm not drinking nearly as much as I did. It's not sending me down the spiral of self-hatred the way it was. I'm certainly consuming less alcohol. And when I do consume it, I'm more aware of what is happening to me. And I'm learning that alcohol is just a symptom, and you are helping me in all these other ways. You're helping me with boundaries and self-esteem and self-confidence. And all of this is because of our mindset. And so it's so, that's why I do what I do, is because I feel like I can help people. And it gives me a purpose. My previous career, I sat behind a desk and did paperwork all day, and I didn't feel like I was giving any
Like being in service.
substantive
Yeah.
substance and substantive value to the world. I mean, I did my job. I did my job well. My employer liked me, but it certainly wasn't feeding my soul. And this work does feed my soul. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something to feed my soul. And so, um, you know, check that box.
Well, and again, so many people are impacted beautifully and positively from you pursuing your heart's desire, your soul's calling, So, like,
Well, I
big time
hope
thank
so.
you.
I hope so, because, then it's just, um, you know, uh, well, it's not a waste. Nothing's ever a waste.
See, it's an opportunity. It's a
Yeah,
gift.
it's an opportunity. And
Yeah.
it is a gift. And it's a gift to always keep growing and learning, and putting your one foot in front of the other. One of the things that I have learned with coaching and being coached and going through training and so on and so forth is, and this sounds so cliche, but it's so fucking true, is that it's not the destination, it's the journey. That's the important part. And until we're 10 toes up, we're not done. And if I think that, okay, once I work with X amount of clients, then I will make it, then I've crossed the finish line. No, you've hit that milestone maybe, but you haven't crossed the finish line until you're dead. And to think that, I think this happens to a lot of people who are retiring. you know I've worked for 40 years, I'm going to retire. And if they hang up their desire to live, then retiring is going to be permanent. And it'll, and I think a lot of people that happens to, once they feel like they've lost their purpose, then they give up, and they don't, they quit trying to grow and learn and, do other things. And that's a shame. And that's also a thought that
Right. It's a
I've
percent.
retired, now I can give up, is a thought. Or I've earned retirement. I've earned being able to sit in my lazy boy and watch television all day. Yeah. It's a thought, it's a choice. And, you know, Godspeed.
I met someone a few years ago. I was in a show, and um, he was in the show with me, and a really nice guy, and he was a retired teacher, and he was so happy, because he said, I get to watch TV all day. He's like, I do these shows every so often. I get to watch TV and play golf all day. It's like, this is heaven. But again, it was a choice. It was a choice to
Right.
indulge in what he wanted to do.
Right. And, watching some great TV and playing golf all day, yeah, that sounds great, you know.
Yeah.
And as long as you're getting something out of it, he's getting
Yeah.
some exercise, he's out in nature, he's hitting a little white ball all over the place. Hopefully he's not telling himself he's an idiot when he shoots a,
Right.
14 over par or whatever, but hey. And I'm not discounting that. I'm not discounting any of that. And I'm not saying that anybody and everybody should be striving and learning, book work or, doing magnificent things until the day they drop dead. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to feel like you're thriving in life and not just existing. Because living and existing are two different things, I think. And I don't want to just exist. I want to be able to feel like I'm doing something of value and and feel like I've got some purpose.
And you really are doing something of value. So people need to work with you. There it is. I said it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so much.
having me. Yeah,
And
thank you for having me today.
well, thank you for being here, and people need to work with you as well. So, Ron is all that and a bag of chips, and the people can reach you where?
Ron at artfulspeaking.com or just the website artfulspeaking.com.
Thank you, ever
Yeah.
so.
Thank you, Nancy.
And of course, if you want to reach me, you can reach me at Nancy at amazingoutlookcoaching.com or visit my website, amazingoutlookcoaching.com. And I don't know, Ron, is that a wrap?
Let's take it home.
Let's take it home. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.